welcome back to this video. This is a continuation of the C# beginner series. Previously in this series, we have discussed what data types are. If you have not watched that, I strongly encourage us to do so. So in this video, we'll be looking at what VAR in C# represents. Let's go to Visual Studio and look at. Now, remember previously, when we want to declare, for example, an integer, we could just say we have a value and we do this, right? This was how we've been doing it up till now. But now we want to introduce the VAR. What VAR does is that you need not do that. You can just put, and implicitly you will see that it knows that this is an integer. So you see, it knows this to be an integer because of the value we are putting into it. So basically that's what we have with the VAR. It's used to give a value implicitly to a particular variable. So for example, if I say var boy, what happens here is that the compiler knows that this is a string, and so it can infer that it means that the data type you are talking of is string. And this makes your development much more easier because you don't need to specify the specific data type that it is, since the compiler can recognize what data type it is by just the kind of data that it's been put in it. So for example, if you have a number, note that when you put in a number, it defaults it to an integer. When you put in a string, it default, of course, is a string. If I come here and I put a car and I put this, it recognizes this to be a character. As you can see, cha, it recognizes to be a character. If I come and I do a decimal point and I put this now, this ceases to be a double, so you see it will recognize this as a double, as we see here. So the var data type just implicitly and tells the compiler what type the particular variable is going to be containing, for example. So for example, if you want actually something like a decimal here, for example, so you know a decimal has n, so this noun it knows this noun to be a decimal and no more as a double. For example, if I want it to be a float, if I use the f for the float, it knows this to be a float. Also, coming to the integer, you know, an integer by default, it's the int that it will use. But if I wanted to be a long, you know, I could just use the L and it knows this to be a long and no more just an integer that it is. So these are just ways to implicitly tell the compiler what data type you are trying to pass into it. So going forward, I'll be mostly using the var keyword instead of using the data types we know, like integer, like boolean and all of that, when we are working. I hope this was clear, and I know this is a very short video, but I think I needed to set this precedence for going forward. In the next video, we'll be looking at control flows, and we'll look at what and how we can achieve control flow in C#. Thank you. If you have any question, please drop in the comment section and I'll respond to that. See you in the next video.